This is India Global. I'm Gaurie, Dwivedi. We now turn our attention to the latest that's happening in Bangladesh, where Muhammad Yunus, who is the advisor of the interim government, has come out with the latest jibe, which clearly seems to be targeting India. In fact, Muhammad Yunus is learned to have said that must counter aggression against Bangladesh. He's also asked that that he has asked all political parties to unite against what he feels is an attack against Bangladesh. And when he, of course, asked some of the political parties and outfits to come together, Sheikh Hasina's Awami League was kept out of that discussion. This was the first meeting of all of political parties and political stakeholders to come together. Now, the question we ask, what's behind the latest jibe by Muhammad Yunus as he met parties on the India-Bangladesh ties, and why exactly he decided to exclude Awami League, given the fact that he wants to return Bangladesh to a democratic framework, which cannot happen if one party is completely excluded from that setup. Former Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina, has called Muhammad Yunus a mastermind behind some of the killings that have taken place in the last couple of weeks, particularly targeting the minorities, not just the Hindus, but also Ahmadiyya Muslims, the Christians, the Buddhists, and all. But Muhammad Yunus' statements, some of them that have come out, has said that people not happy. In fact, there are some vested interests that are not happy with Bangladesh's freedom. After he's talking about after 5th of August, when the student revolution overthrew the Sheikh Hasina government. Former Secretary Vikram Misri is likely to visit Bangladesh to try and ensure that the strain that has come in the present India-Bangladesh relationship, some of that can be tied to and ensure that frayed nerves can possibly be addressed. All right, Let's get in some of our guests this evening to talk more about what really is the intent behind that meeting that Muhammad Yunus held. Let's get in Muhammad Kamruzzaman, Senior Journalist from Dhaka, and also get in, first of all, Professor Nazmul, who is joining us from Dhaka. He's the Professor of Public Administration of the University of Dhaka. So, hopefully a moderate voice on the show. Thank you so much, Professor Nazmul, for speaking to me, speaking to NDTV. It's always good to get professors because, they are able to speak from a certain degree of, or at least have some dispassionate assessment of how things are taking place or how a situation is normally viewed, as is the case with people who are more passionate about things that are happening, and as is the case in Bangladesh as well. Let me start by asking you, sir, what do you make of the meeting that was held by Muhammad Yunus, where he called all stakeholders, and some of the commentary he made seemed to indicate that it was a direct jibe aimed at India?
Well, that was a kind of clarion call on the part of the head of the government, Nobel laureate Professor Dr. Yunus. Almost all the parties who were known as anti-Awami League, they were invited. Although there was an exception, LDP delegation actually was turned away from the gate because their name was not mentioned in the guest list. Although the person concerned, Colonel Ali from LDP, and his partner, Radwan Ahmed, were invited by one of the advisors of the government to turn up. But when they arrived, they found their name is not there, the list. And of course, 14 party stakeholders and Jatiya Party, they were also not invited alongside Awami League. It was obvious because they are treated as the villain who were opposed to the students' quota movement. And they were responsible for the killings during that period in July, August.
Okay. Let's get in Muhammad Kamruzzaman, who is a senior journalist joining me from Dhaka as well. Appreciate you taking out the time. Mohammed, let me start by asking you, what do you make of the commentary that has come in after Muhammad Yunus held a meeting with all stakeholders, and the fact that Awami League was actually excluded from that meeting itself? Is this Muhammad Yunus's efforts and way of ensuring that he completely excludes Awami League from Bangladeshi politics?
It's very natural, and I think that even this question is not very suitable, because you know that after month-long movement, when in that movement nearly 2,000 people, mostly students, were brutally murdered, and Sheikh Hasina fled in the wake of a mass uprising. So how can, after that movement, a new government, mostly chosen by the students, how you expect that Awami League will participate in a meeting under that government? So it's very absurd. Even this expectation is not very logical. So why?
No, my point is that if Bangladesh has to return to democracy, it has to engage with all political stakeholders, right? That's my point. And that includes all stakeholders.
Democracy doesn't mean that when you saw on broad daylight there were murders, there were autocracy in the name of democracy. So majority people's expectation is democracy. So there was a mass upsurge, there was a revolution. So most people expect that this government is the outcome of that movement. And during that movement, due to that movement, Sheikh Hasina fled. And the 15-year-long autocratic regime in the guise of democracy fallen. So how can you expect that democracy means that inclusion of that party?
But there's no word on when elections will take place.
It doesn't carry any meaning.
There's no word on when elections will take place. And then I get in Professor as well. Yeah. Muhammad Kamruzzaman, yeah.
Actually, now there is also anger among the people regarding the role of India. India is a closest neighbor. India can be a friendly country who supported us during our liberation war. But what India did during this student movement, even 9 Hindu people were brutally murdered. There was no voice, there was no statement from Indian side. Just now, after the fall of Sheikh Hasina, after the formation of a government...
No, India has all along said that law and order and rule of law needs to be upheld, and that cannot be compromised at any point of time. Let me get in Professor Nazmul as well on this. Respond to the fact that return to elections, return to a democratic framework is still something that Muhammad Yunus hasn't clearly etched out. And what one sees right now is commentary which is more anti-India right now, rather than return to a democratic framework.
Well, lately the government has formed the election commission. It's kind of an indication that soon there will be a roadmap which will be unfolded, and the D-Day would be announced. It is expected, widely expected, and formation of the election commission is the first step towards that end. So we are hopeful that soon we'll be getting an announcement from the interim government that this is the roadmap, and D-Day is this one.
And respond to some of the jibe, some of the commentary that was targeted at India, that was aimed at India.
Well, one of the outlaw political entities, namely Hizb ut-Tahrir, they have come up with a poster which says that India should be declared as an enemy country. So this is the extreme sort of proposition. From there, on the other side of the axis, people are saying that we want to have a respectful, in equal terms, relation with India. India acted as the surrogate mother during our liberation war. We all acknowledge that, but at the same time,
what do you think should be done as far as some of these voices that are coming to fore, where India should be declared as an enemy state, is being said? Very quickly, Professor Nazmul.
Well, I mentioned already that it's a party which is not lawfully operational in the country. I mean, Hasina government has put a ban on its activities and is still on.
Okay.
Government has not put off the ban yet.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for speaking to me on India Global. I believe that we're going to come back and talk more, given how volatile situation seems to be in Bangladesh. Thank you so much for speaking to me today.